These are the patents I stole from Sterling's sister. I've had my lawyers draw up transfer documents. They go back to her estate, to Alexander, with no strings attached. There are also settlement payments to the other people and companies I've hurt. Elena opened the folder, scanning the documents. They looked legitimate. Why? Because I can't change the past, but I can try to fix what I broke. Marcus's voice cracked slightly. Because every time I look in the mirror, I see my father. And I hate him for what he taught me. And I hate myself for listening. That doesn't change what you did to me, Elena said. No, it doesn't. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. You deserved honesty and loyalty and love. Real love, not the calculated performance I gave you. He wiped his eyes roughly. I don't expect you to forgive me or give me another chance. I just needed you to know that you were right about me, and that I'm sorry. More sorry than I know how to express. Elena studied him, this man who had once held her entire world in his hands and crushed it. She waited for the anger to surge up, for the desire for revenge to crystallize. Instead, she felt something unexpected, pity, mixed with a strange sense of closure. I forgive you, she said quietly. Marcus's head snapped up, shock clear on his face. What? I forgive you, Elena repeated. Not because you deserve it. Not even because I believe you've completely changed. I forgive you because I'm tired of carrying the weight of what you did. It's been 3 years, and I've spent every single day of those 3 years either hurting or planning to hurt you back. I'm done. I want to move forward. Tears streamed down Marcus's face unashamedly. Elena, I don't. I can't. You don't have to say anything, she said, standing. Just take those documents to Alexander Sterling personally. Apologize to him the way you apologized to me. Try to make amends for his sister. And what about us? Alexander asked. Our plan? I think our plan was born from pain, not from real justice, Elena said carefully. Your sister deserved better than what Marcus did to her. But would she want you to spend years of your life consumed by vengeance? Alexander's eyes glistened. I don't know what else to do with the anger. Neither do I, Elena admitted. But maybe that's what we need to figure out. How to let go without letting them off the hook. Over the next week, Elena made a decision. She scheduled a private meeting with Marcus, without Alexander, without lawyers. Just the two of them in a neutral space, a small cafe far from their usual circles. Marcus arrived early, looking nervous in a way she'd never seen him. He stood when she entered, his hands fidgeting with his coffee cup. Thank you for meeting me, he said quietly. Elena sat across from him, keeping her expression neutral. I almost didn't come. I'm glad you did. I know I don't deserve your time or your attention. I definitely don't deserve your forgiveness. He took a shaky breath. But I need you to hear this from me. Not from Sophia, not from rumors. From me. I'm listening. Everything you thought about me 3 years ago was true, Marcus said. I was selfish and manipulative. I used you to get close to your father's business. I cheated on you with your best friend. I humiliated you publicly and destroyed your career out of spite when you didn't just quietly disappear. He met her eyes, and she saw genuine pain there. I was a monster. Was? Elena asked coolly. I'm trying not to be anymore, Marcus said. My father died 8 months ago. At his funeral, people came and told stories about what a great businessman he was. About his ruthless strategies and brilliant manipulations. And I realized I'd spent my entire life trying to become him. Trying to win his approval by being as cold and calculating as he was. He pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. These are. No, it's not. But his father died 8 months ago. And something in Marcus broke. He started questioning everything. The business practices his father taught him. The way he treats people. The choices he's made. Sophia wiped her eyes. He's been trying to fix things. Returning the patents he stole. Settling the lawsuits quietly. He's been losing money hand over fist trying to make amends. Elena processed this information skeptically. If he's trying to make amends, why hasn't he come to me directly? Because he's terrified you'll laugh in his face. Or worse, that you'll look at him the way you're looking at me right now. Like he's nothing. Sophia stood. I'm not asking you to forgive him or take him back. I'm just asking you to consider that people can change. And that revenge might cost you more than you realize. After Sophia left, Elena sat in silence for a long time. Then she called Alexander. We need to talk about Marcus, she said. And about what happens next. The shift. Alexander Sterling sat across from Elena in her office, his expression unreadable as she finished explaining Sophia's visit. You're having second thoughts, he said. It wasn't a question. I'm having complicated thoughts, Elena corrected. 3 years ago, destroying Marcus seemed like justice. Now it feels like I'm becoming the thing I hated about him. He destroyed my sister, Alexander said quietly. She died because of what he did to her. I know. And I'm not saying we shouldn't hold him accountable. But there's accountability, and there's annihilation. Sophia said he's been trying to make amends. What if that's true? Alexander was silent for a long moment. Do you still have feelings for him? The question surprised her. Did she? She examined her heart carefully, like studying a complicated blueprint. No, she said finally. What I felt for him died 3 years ago. But I'm starting to wonder if I've been so focused on revenge that I forgot to actually heal. And what about? Sophia appeared at Elena's office one rainy Thursday afternoon. She looked different, thinner, less polished. The confidence that had always radiated from her was gone, replaced by something that looked like haunted exhaustion. Please don't throw me out, Sophia said before Elena could speak. I know you have every right to. But I need to talk to you. Elena should have called security. Instead, she found herself saying, 5 minutes. Sophia sank into the visitor's chair like her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know the truth before you go through with whatever you and Sterling are planning. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Marcus is terrified. He knows you're gathering evidence against him. He knows Sterling wants revenge for his sister. Sophia's eyes welled with tears. And he knows he deserves everything that's coming. Elena leaned back, studying her former friend. Why are you here, Sophia? Because I was in love with him, Sophia said quietly. Really, truly in love. When he started paying attention to me 3 years ago, I felt like I'd won the lottery. Marcus Blackwell, the man who could have anyone, chose me. I told myself you'd understand eventually. That real love justified anything. It doesn't. I know that now, Sophia said bitterly. Because he did the same thing to me that he did to you. Used me, got what he wanted, and moved on. The difference is, I deserved it. You didn't. Elena felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sympathy. Just a weary recognition of patterns repeating. Why are you really here? Because Marcus isn't the monster you think he is, Sophia said. He's weak and selfish and cowardly, but he's not evil. His father was the one who pushed him to pursue you 3 years ago. Told him it was the only way to prove himself as a businessman. And Marcus was too weak to stand up to him. That's not an excuse. He's trying to show you he's changed, her father said one Sunday over dinner. Roberto was back to his old self, healthy and energetic, running a successful consulting firm that advised other small businesses. The question is whether you believe him. Does it matter? Elena asked. Even if he has changed, it doesn't erase what he did. No, her father agreed. But it might matter for your own peace of mind. Carrying anger for 3 years is exhausting, Mija. I should know. Elena set down her fork. Are you saying I should forgive him? I'm saying you should do whatever you need to do to move forward, Roberto said gently. You've rebuilt your life beautifully. You've proven every doubter wrong. You've succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. But sometimes I look at you, and I still see that hurt girl from 3 years ago. Behind all the success and armor. His words haunted Elena that night as she reviewed the evidence Alexander had compiled. Marcus's business wasn't just stagnant. It was built on questionable practices. Stolen patents, including the technology he had taken from Alexander's sister. Accounting irregularities that suggested fraud. Contracts obtained through intimidation and manipulation. They had enough to destroy him. To see him arrested, his company dissolved, his reputation permanently ruined. Elena's finger hovered over her phone. One call to Alexander, and they would move forward with exposing everything. Marcus would lose everything, just as she and her father had. Instead, she found herself scrolling through old photos on her phone. Pictures she should have deleted years ago. Marcus laughing at something she said. The two of them at a charity gala, his arm around her waist. Him sleeping peacefully in her apartment, looking younger and more vulnerable than she remembered. Had that all been fake? Or had there been something real beneath the manipulation? An unexpected alliance. The answer came from the most unexpected source. Sophia appeared. Actually, I would mind, Alexander said smoothly. Anything you need to discuss with Ms. Rivera can be discussed with both of us. We're partners in this venture. Marcus's jaw tightened slightly, but he nodded. Of course. Perhaps dinner tomorrow then? Just to go over the initial concepts? My assistant will check my schedule, Elena said. If you'll excuse us, we have other meetings to attend. They walked away, leaving Marcus staring after them. Elena could feel his eyes on her back, and something about that gaze felt different from before. Not calculating. Almost desperate. He really is going to try to win you back, Alexander said quietly. Let him try, Elena replied, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. I'm not that girl anymore. The dangerous game. But Marcus was persistent. Over the next 2 weeks, flowers arrived at Elena's office daily. Expensive, extravagant arrangements that her assistant, Maria, eyed with increasing suspicion. Should I keep throwing these away, or are you planning to open a florist shop? Maria asked, gesturing to the latest delivery. 3 dozen white roses. Donate them to the hospital, Elena said without looking up from her designs. The patients will enjoy them more than I do. Her phone buzzed with yet another text from Marcus. Please have dinner with me. I need to explain. There's so much you don't know. She deleted it without responding, as she had deleted the previous 37 messages. But Marcus's campaign wasn't just personal. In their business meetings about the headquarters design, he was attentive, respectful, and surprisingly insightful. He listened to her ideas without the dismissive attitude he used to have. He praised her work publicly and meant it. Quote, the only architect talented enough for his vision. His vision, Elena repeated flatly. Of course. There's something else, Alexander said carefully. His marriage to Sophia is definitely over. Divorce papers were filed last month. And according to my sources, he's been asking about you. Your relationship status, specifically. Elena's coffee suddenly tasted like ash. You're joking. I wish I were. It appears Marcus has convinced himself that letting you go was his biggest mistake. Alexander watched her closely. Elena, I need you to be prepared. He's going to try to win you back. The Tech Summit. The Grand Millennium Hotel ballroom was filled with the who's who of the technology and business world. Elena moved through the crowd with practiced grace, her hand resting lightly on Alexander's arm. They weren't romantically involved despite what gossip columns speculated, but they made an impressive team. There he is, Alexander murmured. Marcus Blackwell stood near the bar, holding court with a group of investors. He had aged in 3 years, lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. But he was still handsome, still charismatic, still commanding attention. And then his eyes found hers across the crowded room. Elena watched him excuse himself from his group and start walking toward her. Her heart pounded, but she kept her expression coolly professional. Elena. Marcus stopped in front of her, his eyes sweeping over her in a way that made her skin crawl. You look incredible. Marcus. She kept her voice neutral. It's been a while. 3 years, he said. 3 years I've been watching you soar. You've become everything I always knew you could be. The audacity of that statement nearly made her laugh. How kind of you to notice. I mean it, Marcus said earnestly. He glanced at Alexander. Sterling, would you mind if I borrowed Elena for a moment? I'd like to discuss the project. The tech bubble burst harder than he anticipated. He's lost key investors. And his marriage to Sophia is, according to my sources, falling apart spectacularly. Elena felt a tiny twist of satisfaction she wasn't proud of. I'm not sure I should be happy about that. Why not? Alexander set down his cup. She betrayed you just as much as he did. She knew what she was doing. I know. But I remember when we were friends. Real friends. Elena sighed. Sometimes I wonder if the revenge is worth becoming someone who celebrates other people's misery. You're not celebrating misery, Alexander said firmly. You're acknowledging justice. There's a difference. Marcus and Sophia hurt people deliberately for their own gain. What's happening to them now is simply consequences catching up. Elena nodded, but doubt lingered. 3 years had healed some wounds, but others remained raw. She had achieved everything she set out to accomplish. Her father's company was not only saved but thriving again under new management. His health had improved dramatically once the stress lifted. She herself was financially secure and professionally respected. But the anger that had driven her for so long was starting to feel hollow. The taste of revenge she'd been anticipating felt more bitter than sweet. The tech summit is next week, Alexander reminded her. Marcus will be there. So will we. Sterling Industries is announcing the new collaborative project with Blackwell Tech. Elena's heart jumped. This was it. The moment they had been building toward. You're sure he'll go for it? His board gave him no choice. The partnership is too lucrative to refuse. And yes, he specifically requested you as the lead architect. He requested me? Elena couldn't keep the surprise from her voice. Alexander's expression was unreadable. Apparently, he's been following your career. He called you, and I quote, the only architect talented enough for his vision. The rising phoenix. 3 years passed like a dream and a nightmare intertwined. Elena stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of Sterling Industries' corner office, her office, watching the city wake up beneath a golden sunrise. Her reflection stared back at her, and she barely recognized herself. Gone was the naive girl who had trusted too easily. The woman looking back at her had sharp eyes that missed nothing, wearing a tailored navy suit that cost more than her entire wardrobe used to. Her dark hair, once long and always pulled into a simple ponytail, now fell in a sleek bob that framed her face. She had lost weight during those first dark months, but then gained it back as lean muscle from dawn workouts that cleared her mind. Admiring the view? Alexander Sterling entered without knocking, carrying 2 cups of coffee. It was their morning ritual now. 3 years of working together had forged an unusual friendship built on mutual respect and a shared hunger for justice. Remembering, Elena corrected, taking the offered cup. 3 years ago today, I was sitting in that coffee shop with nothing. Now I'm heading the architectural division of one of the fastest-growing companies in the country. You earned every bit of it, Alexander said, settling into the leather chair across from her desk. Your designs for the Sterling Tower won 3 international awards. The museum project is being featured in every major publication. Clients are begging for your time. And Marcus? Elena asked, her voice carefully neutral. Alexander's smile was sharp. And Marcus Blackwell is starting to notice. His company has been stagnant for 2 years. The tech bubble burst harder than he. You were designing the new Blackwell Tech headquarters. Elena's heart skipped. That project was pulled. Not pulled. Postponed, Alexander corrected. Marcus still needs that building. His board of directors is pushing for it. And I'm about to make him an offer he can't refuse. A partnership that requires bringing in an independent architect. Someone with no ties to either of our companies. But I have ties to his company. We were engaged. 3 years from now, you won't, Alexander said. 3 years from now, you'll be successful in your own right. You'll have rebuilt your reputation and your father's company. And when Marcus comes crawling, asking you to design his precious headquarters, you'll have a choice. Walk away from the past, or help me expose him for the fraud he really is. Elena stared at this stranger offering her a lifeline wrapped in vengeance. Every rational part of her brain screamed to walk away. But the part that was drowning in bills and bitterness, the part that couldn't forget her father's gray face on that hospital bed, that part whispered yes. Why would you invest 3 years in this, she asked. Why not just take him down now? Because I don't want to just destroy his business, Alexander said, his eyes hard. I want him to lose everything he values. His reputation, his relationships, his sense of superiority. I want him to feel the same despair my sister felt. And that takes time. That takes strategy. He leaned forward. I'm offering you a job at Sterling Industries. A real position, heading our architectural division. You'll design real projects, work with real clients, and build a real reputation. In 3 years, you'll be someone Marcus can't ignore. Someone who is everything he thought he took from you. And in exchange? In exchange, when the time comes, you help me take him down. Completely. No mercy. No second chances. Alexander's expression softened slightly. Her apartment lease was up next month. Her father's medical bills were piling up. She needed something, anything. Elena Rivera? A man's voice made her look up. He was tall, probably early 40s, with silver threading through his dark hair. His suit was expensive, tailored perfectly. His eyes were sharp and intelligent behind designer glasses. Yes? She tensed, wondering if this was another reporter or, worse, someone sent by Marcus. My name is Alexander Sterling. May I sit? The name meant nothing to her, but something about his demeanor made her nod. He sat across from her with the fluid grace of someone used to command. I know what Marcus Blackwell did to you and your father, Alexander said without preamble. I know about the engagement, the betrayal, the business dealings. And I'm here to offer you an opportunity. Elena's guard went up immediately. What kind of opportunity? The kind that would let you rebuild everything you've lost, Alexander said, sliding a business card across the table. And perhaps get a measure of justice in the process. Justice or revenge? Elena asked bluntly. Alexander's smile was cold. Is there a difference? Marcus Blackwell destroyed my sister's life 5 years ago. She trusted him with her startup company, her heart, and her future. He stole her technology, drove her into bankruptcy, and married someone else while she was still recovering from the betrayal. She took her own life 2 years ago. The air left Elena's lungs. I'm so sorry. I've been waiting for the right moment to act, Alexander continued, his voice controlled but Elena could see the pain beneath. I've been building my own tech empire, making the right connections, gathering information. Marcus thinks he's untouchable. But he's not. What does this have to do with me? You know him, Alexander said simply. You know his weaknesses, his patterns, his business strategies. You're also a brilliant architect. I've seen your work. Before Preston fired you. But 3 major clients have threatened to take their business elsewhere if you remain on their projects. He sighed heavily. I have to think of the firm. You're firing me. It wasn't a question. I'm sorry. I'll give you an excellent reference, but right now, with all the publicity. He trailed off, unable to meet her eyes. Elena cleaned out her desk in silence while former colleagues whispered and stared. She had poured her heart into this job, won awards, worked 80-hour weeks. And it meant nothing. Her father's company filed for bankruptcy 2 weeks later. The stress of losing everything he had built over 3 decades took its toll. Elena found him collapsed in his study one evening, his face gray, clutching his chest. The hospital waiting room became her second home. The doctors said he'd had a major heart attack. The surgery went well, but the recovery would be long. And expensive. Insurance covered some, but not nearly enough. Elena sat by her father's hospital bed, holding his frail hand. He looked so much older than his 60 years. His hair had gone completely white in just weeks. I'm sorry, Mija, he whispered, his voice weak. I should have been more careful. Should have had backup plans. This isn't your fault, Papa, Elena said fiercely. Marcus did this. He destroyed us deliberately. Don't let him destroy you too, her father said, squeezing her hand with what little strength he had. You're stronger than this. Promise me you won't let bitterness consume you. But as Elena sat there in the sterile hospital room, watching her father struggle with each breath, she felt bitterness taking root in her heart. Marcus Blackwell had taken everything from her. Her love, her trust, her career, her father's life's work, and nearly her father's life itself. An unexpected offer. 3 days later, Elena sat in a coffee shop nursing her 3rd cup of coffee, scrolling through job listings on her laptop. Her savings were dwindling fast. She saw Marcus's business partners exchanging knowing glances. They had probably known. Maybe everyone had known except her. Her father reached her side, his face ashen. Elena, what is he saying? It's true, Papa, she whispered. He's been seeing Sophia behind my back. Roberto Rivera's hand clutched his chest. For a terrible moment, Elena thought he might collapse right there. The merger, he breathed. The documents we were going to sign tonight. Marcus descended from the stage, his expression now businesslike. About that, Roberto. I'm afraid the investment is off. Under the circumstances, it wouldn't be appropriate. But my company, her father said, his voice cracking. Marcus, please. 70 families depend on those jobs. I'm sorry. Business is business. Marcus's eyes were cold now, the mask completely dropped. I can't mix personal feelings with professional decisions. Elena felt rage building in her chest, burning away the numbness. You planned this, she said, her voice low and dangerous. You waited until my father was desperate enough to consider your terms. You used me to get close to him, to understand his business. And now you're pulling the rug out. Marcus shrugged. I'm a businessman, Elena. You were always too naive to understand that. The spiral. The weeks that followed were the darkest of Elena's life. The story of her public humiliation spread through their social circles like wildfire. Photos from the engagement party, showing the moment Marcus announced his betrayal, ended up on gossip blogs and social media. Her position at Preston and Associates, the prestigious architecture firm where she had worked for 3 years, became untenable. Marcus had connections everywhere. Clients started pulling projects when they learned she was involved. Her boss, Richard Preston, called her into his office with an expression of genuine regret. Elena, you're talented. One of the best young architects I've seen. The ones he needed her father to sign. This was all business, Elena said slowly, horror dawning. Our relationship. This engagement. It was all just a strategy for you, wasn't it? Marcus had the grace to look uncomfortable. It started that way, he admitted. But I did care about you, Elena. You have to believe that. The public destruction. Elena felt numb as she walked back toward the ballroom. Behind her, she could hear Marcus and Sophia arguing in hushed tones. The party was in full swing. Guests laughed and danced, completely unaware that the celebration was built on lies. Her father stood near the champagne fountain, talking with Marcus's parents. He looked so happy, so proud. This merger meant everything to him. It would save his company, protect the jobs of 70 employees who had been with him for years. Elena's mother had died when she was 12. Her father had poured everything into his work and into raising her. He had sacrificed so much. And now she had to tell him that the savior he'd been counting on was a fraud. Ladies and gentlemen. Marcus's voice boomed through the microphone on the small stage. When had he gotten there? Elena's head spun as she turned to see him standing in the spotlight, Sophia beside him. Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate. No. Please, no. However, I have to be honest with you all. Marcus's eyes found Elena in the crowd. There was apology there, but also relief. Like a weight lifting off his shoulders. Elena and I won't be getting married. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Elena felt hundreds of eyes turn to her. Her father pushed through the crowd, his face confused and concerned. I'm in love with someone else, Marcus continued, taking Sophia's hand. I know this is shocking and I apologize for any pain this causes. But Sophia and we found something real. Something I can't deny anymore. The whisper started immediately. Elena saw the pity in people's eyes, the barely concealed gossip beginning. Not tonight, Marcus replied. After the party, I'll figure something out. But tonight, I need her father's signature on those documents. Elena's blood turned to ice. Her feet moved forward on their own, pushing open the heavy oak door. The scene before her shattered her world into a million pieces. Marcus stood with his arms wrapped around a woman, his lips on her neck. The woman turned at the sound of the door, and Elena's knees nearly gave out. It was Sophia. Her best friend. Her maid of honor. Elena. Marcus jumped back, his face pale. This isn't what it looks like. Really? Elena's voice came out surprisingly steady despite her racing heart. Because it looks like you're kissing my best friend in a private room at our engagement party. Sophia had the decency to look ashamed, but there was something else in her eyes. Something almost triumphant. Elena, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean for this to happen. We fell in love. The words hit like physical blows. How long? Elena whispered. Marcus ran his hand through his perfectly styled hair, and for the first time, Elena saw him clearly. The calculation in his eyes. The careful way he measured his words. 6 months, he admitted. Elena, listen. I never wanted to hurt you, but Sophia and we have a connection. Something real. 6 months. Elena repeated the words, trying to make them make sense. 6 months while you were planning our wedding. While you were sleeping in my bed. While you were meeting my family every Sunday for dinner. I wanted to tell you sooner, Marcus said, stepping toward her. Elena stepped back instinctively. But the timing was never right. Your father's company, the merger we were planning, everything was so complicated. And suddenly, it all clicked into place. The merger. Her father's architecture firm was on the verge of bankruptcy. Marcus had promised to invest, to save everything her father had built over 30 years. The documents he mentioned. The perfect illusion. The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the ballroom floor as Elena Rivera smoothed down her emerald silk dress for the 3rd time. Her hands trembled slightly, not from nervousness about the crowd of 200 guests, but from the pure joy bubbling inside her chest. Tonight was supposed to be the happiest night of her life. Her engagement party to Marcus Blackwell, the man she had loved for 5 beautiful years. You look stunning, darling. Her father, Roberto Rivera, squeezed her shoulder gently. His eyes glistened with proud tears behind his glasses. Marcus is a lucky man. Elena smiled, though something flickered in her chest. A tiny warning bell she had been ignoring for weeks now. Marcus had been distant lately, always buried in his phone, taking calls at odd hours. But she pushed those thoughts away. He was building an empire. His tech company had just gone public, making him one of the youngest billionaires in the country. Of course he was busy. There you are. Her best friend Sophia glided toward them, stunning in a red dress that hugged every curve. Sophia had always been beautiful, confident in ways Elena envied. They had been inseparable since college, sharing everything from secrets to dreams. The guests are asking for you both. Where's Marcus? Elena's smile faltered. I thought he was with you. He said he needed to discuss something with you about the seating arrangements. Something passed across Sophia's face. Too quick to catch, but Elena's architect's eye for detail noticed the flash of guilt before Sophia's perfect smile returned. Oh, right. Yes. He's probably still in the private lounge. Shall we go find him? The unraveling. The private lounge was tucked away from the main ballroom, a quiet space meant for family. As they approached, Elena heard voices. Marcus's deep baritone mixed with another voice. Female. Intimate. We can't keep doing this, the woman said. She's going to find out.